Tonight, when the sun goes down, you will probably not think about mosquitoes. You have screens on your windows. You have repellent in a drawer somewhere. You have, if things get bad enough, a plug-in device that fills the air with chemicals that mosquitoes cannot tolerate. The problem is solved before it becomes a problem, with technology so ambient and reliable that the underlying threat has become invisible. But for the vast majority of human existence, the night was different. When the sun set and the temperature dropped toward the conditions that mosquitoes prefer, there was no screen, no repellent, no chemical solution. There was a human body, lying still, generating the carbon dioxide and body heat that mosquitoes detect from dozens of meters away. And in much of the world, particularly in the tropical and subtropical regions where human evolution largely took place, there were a great many mosquitoes. This was not a minor inconvenience. In the ancient world, mosquitoes were among the most lethal forces that humans faced. Malaria alone has been estimated by some researchers to have killed more humans throughout history than all wars combined. The mosquito-borne diseases that ancient humans contended with, malaria, yellow fever, dengue, and others, shaped the geography of human settlement, the distribution of genetic traits, and the life expectancy of entire populations. And yet, ancient humans figured out ways to survive in mosquito-dense environments. They had to. The evidence that they did is in the fact that we exist. So how? The real answer is far more sophisticated than most people realize, and it draws on biology, chemistry, fire, architecture, clothing, and a knowledge of local plant chemistry that took generations to accumulate. Start with fire. This is the oldest human defense against mosquitoes that we can identify with confidence, and its effectiveness is not mythological. It is chemical and physical. Smoke from burning wood and plant material disrupts the sensory equipment that mosquitoes use to locate hosts. Mosquitoes navigate primarily by detecting carbon dioxide exhaled by warm-blooded animals, and by detecting specific volatile compounds, lactic acid, ammonia, and others, that emanate from skin. Smoke interferes with both of these detection systems. It masks the chemical signature of the human body and disrupts the mosquito's ability to orient toward its target. Ancient humans who slept near fires were sleeping in a cloud of smoke that made them, from a mosquito's sensory perspective, significantly harder to find. The smoke did not eliminate the risk, but it reduced it substantially. And in the compounding arithmetic of disease exposure, reduction matters enormously. But ancient humans went further than simply keeping fires burning. They discovered, through accumulated observation across generations, that specific plants produced smoke that was particularly effective at repelling insects. Ethnobotanist Naomi Nakashima, whose work documents the traditional plant knowledge of communities in Southeast Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa, has cataloged dozens of plant species used in traditional contexts specifically to repel insects through smoke. Among the most consistently documented are plants from the genus Artemisia, several species of which contain compounds that are directly toxic or repellent to mosquitoes. Plants containing citronella, camphor, and a range of other volatile terpenoid compounds were burned specifically in the evening to create insect-repellent smoke in sleeping and cooking areas. This is not folk superstition. Pharmacological analysis of many of these plants has confirmed their effectiveness. Compounds derived from several of them form the basis of modern commercial mosquito repellents. The ancient communities that burned these specific plants were doing exactly what the chemistry of those plants enabled. They just did not have the vocabulary to explain why it worked. The knowledge was specific. Not all smoke was equally effective, and the communities that lived in high mosquito density environments knew which plants to burn and which produced ineffective or even counterproductive smoke. This specificity implies observation, comparison, and transmission of findings across generations. It implies something that looks very much like an empirical research program conducted without instruments over thousands of years. Ancient humans also used the topography and geography of their environment strategically. Mosquitoes are not uniformly distributed across a landscape. They breed in standing water, they are suppressed by wind, and they are constrained by temperature in ways that vary dramatically across very short distances. A camp positioned on a ridge with reliable evening wind, even a few meters above the elevation of a mosquito-breeding marsh, could be significantly less infested than a camp at the marsh edge. Ancient hunter-gatherer communities demonstrated consistent awareness of this gradient. The evidence from ancient campsite locations across sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, and Southeast Asia shows a pattern of preferring elevated, exposed, wind-swept positions for sleeping camps, even when lower, more sheltered positions offered other advantages. This is information that accumulates slowly through generations of experience with which locations produced sick people and which produced healthy ones, and it represents a form of epidemiological knowledge that required no germ theory to develop. The connection between sleeping in a certain kind of place and becoming ill the next day, made repeatedly across many seasons by many people, produced practical wisdom about where to sleep even without any understanding of why the connection existed. Animal products and plant oils were applied directly to skin. Across multiple ancient and traditional cultures, the practice of applying specific substances to exposed skin as protection against biting insects is documented extensively. Animal fat was among the most widely used, and its effectiveness is partially explained by the fact that it forms a physical barrier that makes it harder for mosquitoes to reach the skin surface, and partially by the fact that some animal fats contain volatile compounds that insects find aversive. Plant oils from specific species, including neem, eucalyptus, and various members of the mint family, have been used in traditional contexts across Asia and Africa as topical insect repellents for thousands of years. Modern analysis of these oils has confirmed the presence of active repellent compounds in all of them. The use of plant-based topical repellents implies a level of systematic plant knowledge that goes well beyond general familiarity. It implies the ability to identify specific species, prepare usable extracts, and understand that different plants produce different effects. Communities living in high mosquito environments had effectively developed a local pharmacopoeia of insect repellents, derived through observation and transmitted through practice. Clothing and physical covering provided another layer of defense. In many ancient contexts, sleeping fully wrapped in animal hides or woven plant material provided significant protection simply by reducing the amount of exposed skin available to biting insects. This is not sophisticated technology. It is a direct physical barrier, but the widespread use of sleeping coverings in ancient contexts may have served mosquito defense as a primary function in environments where overnight insect exposure was a significant health risk. The development of early textile technologies, which appears in the archaeological record in multiple regions, may have been driven in part by the need for lightweight, packable physical barriers against overnight insect exposure. There is one final dimension to ancient mosquito defense that is perhaps the most remarkable, because it operates not at the level of technology or behavior, but at the level of genetics. Human populations that have lived in high malaria regions for thousands of generations carry genetic adaptations that were shaped by the selection pressure of mosquito-borne disease. The sickle cell trait, which provides partial protection against malaria in heterozygous carriers, is present at high frequency in populations from sub-Saharan Africa, the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and South Asia, all regions with long histories of intense malaria transmission. Glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency, another genetic variant that provides malaria protection, shows a similar geographic distribution. These are not random variants. They are the biological record of tens of thousands of years of human populations under selection pressure from mosquito-borne disease. The ancient humans who survived in mosquito-dense environments were not just behaviorally adapted, they were genetically adapted. The most effective defense against mosquitoes that any ancient human population developed was written into their DNA over generations of lethal exposure. Tonight, when the sun goes down, you will probably not think about mosquitoes, but the ancestors who made you possible were thinking about them every single night. They built fires, they burned specific plants, they chose elevated camps with good wind exposure. They covered their skin with the oils and fats of the landscape they knew. They wrapped themselves in the materials they had. And over thousands of generations, The ones who survived long enough to have children passed on something even more durable than any of these techniques: the resistance that is still in your blood.